We are Hampton, a vibrant waterfront community who celebrates and embraces our 400 years of history and innovation while creating an even more dynamic future. At 413, we are the oldest continuously occupied English settlement in the United States. The first free public school was established here in 1634. While the first Africans were brought here as chattel slaves, the path to their freedom also began here. Fun fact, our town of Phoebus had the most saloons per capita before and probably during Prohibition. The first battle of the ironclad ships was fought just off our shores, advancing naval technology. The Air Force was born here, and Langley is the oldest continually active Air Force base in the world. From flight, we reached farther as the beginning of NASA and home to astronauts and the Hidden Figures. You wouldn't be able to eat seafood in this part of the country if a Hamptonian had not invented a way to preserve it. Our greatest asset is our water. We have been named to lists of the best and most affordable beach towns. We are also one of the U.S. communities at greatest risk from sea level rise, and so we have had to become a leader in resiliency efforts. Hampton University, one of the nation's top HBCUs, is home to the nation's first African American museum. Our mission: by working together, we provide outstanding public service that makes Hampton a place where people love to live, learn, work, and play.
Well, welcome, Hampton. We learned a lot just from the introduction, so thanks so much for that. Are you ready to begin?
Hampton!
Connected, engaged, inspired!
Then you may begin.
Good afternoon. I'm Hampton Mayor Donnie Tuck. I grew up in a safe environment that allowed me to focus on school, sports, and extracurricular activities, basically just being a kid. I had a cousin 2 years older than me who didn't have that. He died much too soon. Growing up in fear, hearing gunshots and knowing people who get shot isn't healthy. We want to be a community that engages and supports our young people. In Hampton, we rely primarily on residential real estate taxes for funding. Our home values are 1/3 less of the state average. Our residents can't afford to pay more in taxes, so when Hampton received federal recovery money, I committed to dedicate a minimum of 5% of those dollars to engaging our young people in violence prevention. Just helping our young people survive isn't nearly enough. We're helping them thrive.
I'm Letitia Handy. I lead the city's programs for youth and young adults. My staff has more than tripled as we dramatically ramp up our engagement with young people referred by courts, police, schools, and family members. But government can't succeed alone. Our grants enable successful grassroots organizations connecting with youth in the community to expand and reach more kids. When our congressman presented us with $4.6 million, he noted that far too often federal funds are used for political purposes. However, Hampton's data-driven approach gave him confidence that we would produce actual results. He stated, funding prevention beats funding prisons. That's right.
I was 7 when I first saw someone get shot. I was so close that his brain splattered on my shoes. When I was 11, my parents made me sell crack. When I was 14, my dad beat me up, took the crack to use, and then turned me into the police for having drugs. My name is Adrian Cook, and I was involved with the justice system from the age of 14 to 42. Programs in prison helped me to see the gaps that existed in my life growing up. I started a nonprofit to fill some of those gaps for some of the kids that are referred from juvenile detention. We help the whole family. We take them to school, we advocate for them in court, we do whatever it takes. I am a violence interrupter. I inspire hope. I tell my story so I can be the person that I once needed in my life.
I'm Nigeria Banks, and it's America that I'm standing here. I've been shot at 4 times, I made some really bad choices, and I had a record as a juvenile. A lot of people tried to help me and say the right things to me, whether it was Miss Handy, my TT, who got me into some programs and helped me get straightened out. They helped me get a job. They helped me inspire to see me. They helped me get a job. They inspired me to see a better future for myself. Now I'm 20. I have a clean adult record, a good job, and a dream of owning hotels. Most importantly, I'm focused on being a great parent to my 2 girls.
Sergeant Ashley Jenrette. In the Hampton Police Department, we analyze crime data weekly. We look at instances of violence, not in large sectors, but down to the block level. As a police officer, it is my job to make sure those neighborhoods are safe. It's also my passion. My husband and I run a nonprofit youth athletic league. A city grant helped us to take our teams into the top 5 hotspots for violence within our city. As the children played flag football, fellow officers joined me in connecting with the adults with resources in our community. It's efforts like this that I believe contributed to a 5% decrease in violence and a greater decrease in gun violence.
I'm Gabriella Hayes. When I worked for McDonald's, we started Coffee with a Cop in Hampton. One day, when 2 middle schoolers showed up to one of our restaurants, I encouraged them to go over and speak to the police, and their response was, we don't mess with them. But then an officer came over, talked to them, asked them about their lives, and really engaged. They made a real connection that day, and it changed their view of police. That moment inspires me. Now that I've changed jobs, I still do the same thing as a volunteer. I've organized Cookie with a Cop and Ice Cream with a Cop to draw in more young people. I believe in building trust between the community and the police. And my community kickball tournament brought in over 400 people last year, and I am hoping to double that this year.
My name is Margaret Wilson. My family was the first resident in Aberdeen Gardens, a Hampton neighborhood built for blacks by blacks in 1934. There weren't many opportunities at that time for home ownership for people who looked like me, even if they were a doctor or a lawyer. However, it was and still is a very special place to live. Police officers need to know the community that they serve, so we invite them to the new class of Hampton police recruits to take a tour of our neighborhood, a trip to our museum, and we serve them lunch. And by the way, I'm 83 young, and I'm still engaged.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Smith, Superintendent of Hampton City Schools. 8 years ago, we took an in-depth look at our school system. We defined the characteristics of a Hampton graduate. Today, this standard helps us prepare all of our students for success in careers, lifelong learning, and life. We transformed our 4 high schools to create 16 academies, each of which offers multiple pathways toward careers. The academies provide young people opportunities based on high-demand, high-wage jobs aligned with regional and state workforce data. We surround our students and educators with support systems that put their social and emotional health first. We inspire our students to see a world of opportunity and to develop skill sets that will meet our interesting needs. As a community, we made a promise to our students. Now our promise is their reality. And with that, we have an on-time graduation rate of 97.6% and a dropout rate that is 0.6%.
So when I saw that Hampton was reinventing the school system, I got involved immediately. I'm Greg Garrett. I'm a realtor, I'm a developer, and an entrepreneur, and a proud graduate of the Hampton City School systems. So that right now there are over 300 businesses and community members that, like me, that have gotten involved to inspire and give real-world experiences to our students. Young people need to have a vision for the future. They can see themselves achieving more when they see people that once were in their shoes who are now leading thriving businesses. So my son moved to Hollywood when he was 19 years old. And for my wife and I, that was an absolutely horrible, horrible, scary idea. But luckily, he avoided the pitfalls. He beat the odds, and he became a successful actor. But now he's back in Hampton, connecting industry professionals with Hampton students, teaching acting and other aspects of filmmaking.
I'm Madison Rice. Monday is my last day of 9th grade. The transition to high school was a big change, but at my freshman academy, we all took the same courses, which made it feel almost like a family. It also helped me develop a positive sense of self and purpose. I'm engaged with the community as a Girl Scout. I experienced government and politics firsthand as a page in the state capitol, and I am an active member of the Hampton Youth Commission. Most recently, I served on a panel to update the curriculum, and that means I personally had a hand in developing community-connected, fun, educational experience for students in grades 3 through 8.
I'm Ayanna Hollis, an 11th grade LGBTQ student. I have taken advantage of several opportunities provided to me by the city and schools, such as attending our local prosecutor summer law camp. As a junior city planner, I help and aid in awarding grants to youth organizations and even planned a candidates forum during our last city election. I want to give teens a voice and connect them to their community. As a student in the Law and Public Safety program, we hear from a variety of people in our field. We will be prepared to step into jobs as 911 operators, firefighters, or police cadets right out of high school or choose to further our education. My specialized education and experience are preparing me to become powerful, and y'all were praying, possibly rich lawyer fighting for justice.
Hi, I'm Kenny, a proud graduate of the class of 2021, the first class to graduate within the academies in the city of Hampton. In my academy, we took college-level courses right in our high school. I actually received my associate's degree before I got my high school diploma. That's crazy, right? I got my high school diploma. This gave me a head start at the College of William & Mary. My parents were pretty happy, as you can imagine, as they were able to save 2 years of college tuition. And over the past 7 years, families just like mine, just like yours, have saved nearly $4 million in community college tuition. This free special opportunity gave me and my classmates a start for college for people who couldn't afford it or just thought they weren't college material. And in my high school graduation speech, I challenged my class to continue to elevate their voices in the pursuit of equity and access, and to remember what we learned in Hampton City Schools, that our purpose is greatness, every day, everywhere.
That's right. I'm City Manager Mary Bunting. Hampton's community partnerships and engagement can be an inspiration to others. Just last month, the U.S. Secretary of Education visited our Hampton academies and said it was a national model of inspiration, that he'd love to see his students in such programs. This ribbon represents our circle of unity, the programs, the neighborhoods, the businesses, the citizens, the schools, the youth, and the city all working together to make sure all of our youth reach their full potential. Hampton.
Connected, engaged, inspired.
Wow, thank you so much, Hampton. I feel like, we laughed, we cried. It was so great. Thank you for being with us. Jurors, questions? Scott?
Thank you. That was inspirational and informative. You guys did great. I'm curious, I've heard a bunch about Hampton and your participatory measures of getting citizens involved, and that was shown throughout your application too. I'd love to hear a little bit about, you talked in the application about having young people sit on the school board. You have, I think, 60 plus different commissions where citizens can participate. I'd love to hear about how young people are involved in a participatory nature in some of those city ordinances too.
So I, along with Addison, are a part of the Hampton Youth Commission, a government-officiated group full of 25 students who really just represent Hampton as its youth. So we during our candidates forum last year, we got to talk personally with the mayor and the superintendent about what we're going to see come out of their election, what the adults are voting them for, because it's not really about what the adults want, it's really about what the children want, because we are a direct reflection of what they're putting into the school system and the city council.
In the Hampton Youth Commission, we have lots of opportunities to meet with the city and the school board to make sure that the youth voice is very involved in our local government. And we also have student representatives from starting from each high school to put their input for the school board.
Ayanna was very humble. She also serves as a youth planner. We hire 2 students each year to work side by side our planning staff as we do things, looking at things as simple as rezoning, so they get to do the work that regular planners do, but also to help us develop the youth component of the community plan. In terms of the school board, Dr. Smith could elaborate if you want more, but the school board undertakes an application process and chooses students that actually sit on the dais with the school board members at every school board meeting.
I'd also like to offer that I also do youth town halls. And one of the things that came out of it last year, we had town halls with all 4 high schools and the middle schools. And we had things that were utilized by our recreation department to try and create a better experience for our youth growing up.
And certainly within the school system, we have our scholars to participate in terms of part of the curriculum development process. And so rather than just launching the curriculum, it's important for us to make certain that we have young people at the table helping us to design the curriculum as we're preparing them to be college, career, and life ready. So we've had a tremendous impact in terms of their input at the school level, and certainly the city manager has already indicated their involvement in terms of the school board. By policy, the board would have 1 representative and an alternate. We actually have 4 student representatives in terms of the school board who serve as student representatives.
Thank you.
A lot of answers. You can't imagine how wonderful these answers are for me. As a 17-year-old student, the Hampton City School System, I led the effort back in the mid-'70s to get a student on the school board. It failed by a 4-3 vote, and look what Hampton has done since.
Thank you. Anyone? Any questions?
Kind of 2 parts. One, I was looking at going to Hampton University, so I loved hearing more. And then also, I didn't choose Hampton, but I loved it. And I loved getting to just learn more about Hampton and just what they brought. I learned some when I was out there. It's beautiful. And then also, in your application, you guys are talking about SROs in the schools. Denver is trying, we've had a bunch of stuff happen in schools recently, and they're trying to bring back SROs. People are happy about it, people aren't happy about it. Like, has it helped you guys, and like, what's your take on it?
So I will say our school resource officer program has been of huge benefit to the city. Of course, their primary role there is safety. We have an SRO in every middle and high school, and we have just recently incorporated having some SROs go into our elementary schools. And even though their primary goal is safety, they help build those relationships between the students and the officer, and they also teach classes of laws that actually relate to the youth. So they have been a huge benefit to our city.
I will add, just because sometimes the question about financing is, what do you do with them in the summer? Because our school resource officers form relationships with the students, we take them out to the places that young people tend to congregate, like Buckrow Beach. They're out there creating a safe environment and making sure the kids are having fun, but it's still a safe environment for everyone.
One question I had in reading your materials, it seemed like there were sort of like 2 threads. One was about some of the amazing sort of engagement leadership work that the commission's doing, and the other was on at-risk youth that are at risk and that have been involved, sort of been involved in the justice system. And I'm wondering if those paths cross, where some of those justice-involved youth have become leaders in your community.
Yes, so what we did was we attended Bloomberg Harvard City Leadership Initiative to define our problem, and we found that disproportionate rates of gun violence happening in pockets of our community amongst a limited group of actors and their associates was our main issue. So we chiseled down the problem to also define who is most vulnerable, and we noted that in our community, 93% African American, 85% African American males, and 75% under the age of 25 and younger are likely of shooting or being shot. And so that defined the characteristics of the Office of Youth and Young Adult Opportunities to create engagements where we can individually provide case management and wraparound support for those that are likely of shooting or being shot. To date, we have about 61 people on the vulnerability list, and my department of 12 people interact with up to 18, and we have successfully provided services for up to 3 different families with housing stabilization and career readiness.
Thank you.
As a violence interrupter and someone who has spent more than 18 and a half years in federal prison, coming home and dealing with the youth, what I kind of incorporate is as I build a relationship with them, then I start using them to kind of be that beacon of hope for their peers. We deal with kids, and if they decide that their life is in jeopardy and things of that nature. Coming from me, sometimes it's like, yeah, whatever. But coming from their peers and engaging them to be able to talk to each other and understand has shown very, very good dividends.
So Adrian is an example about how Hampton never gives up on our kids, never. So while I was a maverick trying to get a student on the school board, I was also caught shoplifting the first time in Hampton when I was 6, arrested the first time when I was 11 in Hampton, arrested for 5 felonies at 15, and in court for assault on a police officer at 19. Now I'm here representing our city as a community leader.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else? That that really answered the question about leadership, and I thank you so much for bringing us into the Hampton Circle. It was really important and moving, and we appreciate you. Thank you.